Welcome. In this episode of Love Tech Live, we'll walk through the DataTables plugin by Spry Media. You can go to datatables.net to find these examples in source code. You can either download the project or use their provided CDN links. We also want to include Jquery, which you can copy from Google's CDN. Our example today will have two data tables. The first will be a table defined by HTML markup. The second will be a table defined using JavaScript data. Let's add two tables to our page with IDs Demo1 and Demo2. Data tables are initialized by selecting the table using Jquery and calling the DataTables function. You can pass an options object to fine-tune your table configuration. DataTables.net has a number of great examples. Let's go to their simple zero initialization example for a quick start. Let's also visit the JavaScript sourced data example on datatables.net. So here's what our example looks like in the browser. If you're wondering why the second demo doesn't have the nice row styling of the first demo, it's because we need to add the class display onto our second table. When we add that class, we'll see that they both match. DataTables is easy to extend if you need to change the styles to match your application. We recommend using Chrome developer tools to fine-tune your styling and your colors before copying into the source code. Let's create a new rule to target the TH elements in our DataTables. Let's give the header and footer cells a blue text color and align the text on the left. If we don't want to target all the DataTables, we can prefix the rule with the table ID so that we only target elements within that table. DataTables is extremely well documented, so make sure to go to datatables.net if you have any questions or want full documentation on the available options. Use the page length option to specify a different page length. Specify paging false to turn off pagination and to display all results on a single page. Let's look at a common use case of data tables where we have JavaScript data defined as an array of objects, and we want to pump it out as a sortable table. So in this example, let's just come up with some dummy data. For each of our objects in our array, we will have a name property and an age property. The age will just be a randomized number, and we will pass that along to data tables, and we will need to change our columns definition. Remember, columns is defined as an array of column definitions. Each column definition you can pass in, you'll always want to pass in title, but you can also pass in the data property. There's other options that you can pass in as well, but we'll pass in the data to tell it to look within our object and which property to look at. So our column definitions will be as follows. The first one will say name, and we'll have the data pulled out of the name property. The second column will have age as the title, and we'll pull from the age property. So when we try that out, we see the name and the age at the top, and our randomized values and our names underneath. So now let's look at a common requirement for a program is to be able to handle clicks on our rows and be able to handle based on which row was clicked. Let's go ahead and set up a Jquery Listener for the cells in our demo table. When a cell is clicked, we get the parent row using jQuery.closest. It's often helpful to save the DataTable object as a global variable. Then, we call the dtable.row function and pass the row element as a parameter. This will return the row element. Let's print it to the console. The browser console is a great way to try out new code before you add it to your program. Let's add a breakpoint inside the click handler and debug the code in Chrome Developer Tools. When the program is paused in debug mode, we can go to the console and play around with all the variables that are in scope. Chrome's autocomplete functionality makes it easy to find the functions that we are looking for. In this case, we're looking for the .data function that gives us the row's underlying object. Okay, now let's try it out. When we click each row, the corresponding data object is logged to the console. In addition to handling clicks, we'll oftentimes want to give a custom context menu for when the user right-clicks on a row. To do this, we'll use the jQuery context menu plugin. Let's give the users two options when they right-click on a row. They can either edit it or delete it. Let's try it out and see if we're on the right track. It should either tell us edit or delete depending on which option we choose. We can use almost the same logic that we used for the click handler to handle the context menu selection. We will print out which option they chose, as well as the data for the row. Let's try it out. Perfect, it works great. The last functionality we will cover in this tutorial is how to change the table data. Let's remove one of our records from the dataset array using .shift. We will call the clear function on the DataTable object to remove the old data. Next, we call dtable.rows.add and pass in the new data array. Finally, we call dtable.draw to re-render the table with the fresh data. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of LoveTech Live. If this video was helpful, click that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Check out the description box of this video or just go to lovetech.io for more plugins and tutorials.